Enter madman, stage left. The audience rises and holds their breath. They let the vampires into their house, pretend they don't see when the teeth come out. Put a band-aid on their throat. No one wants to rock the boat, and no one wants to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it. The curtain rises and the players come out. Webs of light spinning from their mouths. Start looking, listen for a little while. Attention to the men behind the curtain. Just look away when you see the blood spurting down to a steady drip. I promise to leave you a little bit. I'll be back for another drink tomorrow. I love the taste of your terror and your sorrow bathing in your blood. It's never enough. On the face of all mankind, our numbers up and the dead won't sign. Go along to get along, hypnotized by the siren song. The flames are empty and the crypts are cracking open. The horde's upon you and you stand there frozen, waiting for the word. Stand in line and wait. Don't follow the strings to find out who is pulling. Just drink your poison, keep on laughing and drooling, eating your own flesh. The master always knows what's but no one wants to talk about it. It's safer not to talk about it. I cut my strings, no more bowing to the master. I tried to run, but they only came faster. Now I stand my ground. I ain't backing down. Silver bullets in my pistol, in my holster. My will is strengthened and my confidence is bolstered. Don't test my resolve. Don't test my resolve.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. It is Sunday, June the 11th, 2023. My name is Cliff. I'm joined by Tim. We are coming to you live from Carter County, Tennessee, here in the middle of the Iron Mountain, ranging from up the Damascus Way on down into North Carolina. It's a pretty long mountain range, and why do you reckon they called it the Iron Mountain? You reckon it's because it was full of iron?
Maybe.
Iron ore? Yeah,
my backyard was full of iron ore, but I lived nowhere near.
I got a tilt going on here. Let's fix that real quick. Sorry about that, folks. Unprofessional. And we're running a little bit late here, but you know how that is. Sorry to keep you waiting, folks. Complicated business. Hello, honey pie. I like
boats.
We've got a cat peeking out of a box. It's a beautiful box with a beautiful cat.
The chat is moved. What does that mean?
Has moved. Yeah, I don't know. It told me that the other day. Hey, thanks all y'all for subscribing. We're up to 376 now. Finally, we broke that 375 hump. So if you wouldn't care to like the video, if you know somebody that might enjoy this content, go ahead and have him and just share it with them. Have them subscribe to the channel. We'd love to get them in the live chat. Dalton's telling us to gas the geese and pull the bird. We were cracking up. Me and Tim were right before we right before we went live, we were sitting here talking. I don't know if y'all. Okay, here's your chance to get on the joke if you weren't with us
I
when we
sneeze a lot when I sneeze. Sorry, it'll probably be like 9 more here in a minute. But go ahead.
just prepare. But yeah, we. I don't know if you weren't in on the joke. We started saying gas the geese in the chat. This is your last chance to get in. We're not going to explain it anymore. I don't think
We're gonna start lying from here on out.
Yeah. So a local community in Johnson City, Hunters Lake, had been overrun with Canada geese, and they decided, I guess their homeowners association or whatever got together and decided that they wanted to apply for a permit to gas the geese. And
Legal to do, by the way, because they're not federal property like ducks.
yeah,
They're Canada. So if I wanted to, you could just and just walk there and just like football punt them. You can be mean to them.
Can't
Be
kill a woodpecker.
Really bad, be unethical. But you can kick a Canadian goose and there's no repercussions.
yep.
Unless there's a good Samaritan nearby that comes over and slaps the hell out of you. You probably deserve it. But then again, Canadian
Did you
gooses
really?
are
I mean,
kind
they're-
of the devil.
They're
so
kind of invading
they
us.
might be doing the Lord's work.
We were talking about like the Canadian. That's probably what the Royal Air Force is the Canadian geese. They just like strap little missiles to them or grenades or something.
Shit blood pudding.
Yeah, drop blood pudding bombs everywhere. Hey, you were talking about the in one of the episodes we were talking about the nuclear bomb. Oh yeah, but before we get it, I do want to finish that thought. Before we gas the geese is where we got that, because those folks actually did want to gas those geese, but then there was an uproar in the town once the news got a hold of that information, and they decided not to gas the geese. And so we just kind of thought the whole story was absurd and started saying gas the geese. So now you know. Dalton says, how's the weather down there? Has this been the driest year I've ever seen in the South Central PA? There's no living grass anywhere. It's crazy. Yeah, it is dry,
rainy down
but
here.
like it has been dry except for the last couple days. But like you were talking in the nuclear bomb episode about how you had heard that Japan was highly susceptible to fire because of the wood and paper they were made of. Well, turned out that I had heard about something called the bat bomb.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
We talked about this.
Did we?
Yep.
Okay.
But
Well,
go ahead.
I don't remember. Well,
You're blown away by it.
Yeah.
So what, we didn't make an impact.
Yeah. I tell you, they had
This
a.
is why the paper city is why this was their first idea. And then they scrapped this once they realized what they could do with the nuke instead.
Yeah, if you read Bat Bomb, World War II's other secret weapon, they actually had a bunch of hibernating bats that they put inside a bomb shell, dropped it from a plane, and they had incendiary devices on them. So flaming bats invaded from there. They had to be
With
terrified.
the idea that they would go roost
Yeah.
and like find little holes to roost in and then essentially napalm
Yeah.
from above.
Burn the whole city down.
Are bats real? I've heard birds aren't real, but gooses are real pieces of shit. Sorry, where'd I hear that? Probably Rick and Morty, I don't remember.
I don't know, but I like it. But yeah, those geese. Yeah, I'm not surprised they wanted to gas them. Well, hey, welcome to the channel, y'all. We've gone into the topic at hand for later in the night a little bit before. Actually, our second episode, we talked about the Overmountain Victory Trail and the Overmountain Men. So we'll get into that a little bit more tonight. But it's been almost 2 years since we've done that story, and the reason I want to tell you about it is because right now in Elizabethton at the Sycamore Shoals, Fort Watauga, they are doing their Liberty Play, which is kind of a dramatic reenactment of the saga of the Overmountain Men and the muster at Sycamore Shoals. So they're doing it every Saturday through June. If you're, it might be every weekend through June, but I think they do 2 shows a day on the weekends. Definitely go check it out if you're not from there. Like me and Tim, we've grown up here. We've lived here most or all of our lives, and we were beat to death with the Overmountain Men. At least I was, through scouts and school, and we heard about it a lot, and it kind of got to the point where it was like, okay, enough of the Overmountain Men. But as I've gotten older and realized how significant that story actually was, I've gained a newfound appreciation for what those guys went through. So we'll get into that a little bit later too. Dalton, the weather down here has been pretty dry up until the last. We had 2 rainy days. We had rain yesterday, or was it yesterday or today? It was just today.
Yesterday.
Okay. We hadn't had much up until then, though. But my grass was out of control because my lawnmower was broken. And have you ever you bought stuff off the Facebook Marketplace?
No.
I'll tell you what, man. If you want something that's in demand off the Facebook Marketplace, it's like 10 times more competitive than Craigslist used to be if you ever used that. But like if you want something that's like an in-demand item, like I bought a lawnmower on it today, and it's a battlefield out there, man. It's like you gotta be the first one there to get it, and you gotta have cash in hand, and you gotta fight the other guys out and all that good stuff. I was trying to buy a truck recently, and guy from Virginia had me driving up there. We'd made a deal that I was going to buy a truck, and then I was like, okay, man, I'll be there in like an hour. And he's like, I sold it to my family member. It's like, oh, you son of a... But I ended up finding a better truck anyway. But the thing with the lawnmower, the guy, I messaged him. He said there was like 30 people that had messaged him. He listed the thing before church. We got out of church. He had 30 messages. And when I went and looked at the mower, I didn't have my trailer with him, so I just went ahead and paid him for it because I didn't want him to sell it to anybody else. He said 10 other people came by and looked at it and offered him more money, but luckily he was, straight up dude, and we made a deal, so he didn't sell it to him.
I don't like the idea, why I've never used Facebook Marketplace, is I don't like the idea of mixing business and social media. Yeah. It just sounds like something could go wrong.
Well, it's kind of become, the Facebook has almost become like the phone book now. So, yeah, I mean, technically it's social media, but like a lot of people don't even use it to keep up with their friends and stuff anymore. It's just kind of, I don't really. I mean, I talk to.
Turn my sound off. I'm not fubbing you.
Okay, talk to my family and stuff, and look at their stuff sometimes. I really mostly use it for my business and just talk to my family on,
What you think she's real?
And do karma. Oh yeah. I've been getting a lot of those
20 a day. It's ridiculous.
The spam porn bots and stuff like that. Well, they don't have any porn posted, but you can tell that's what their goal is.
Yeah, well, if you go to the profile thing, it's like
they'll not have an OnlyFans in there.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Or a link to some site that you've never heard of with a bunch of like squirty. I'm sorry, guys. Y'all can call me a prude. I think I'm going to start owning this. I'm going to use a comparison. I have to use some analogies here. Harley Quinn to us, when I was growing up, was the animated Batman, alright? And she was fully clothed. All the guys still were like, if she was real, we would like Harley Quinn because she was shapely and she was her, right? Does she need to just basically be nude the entire movie, right? What I'm saying is...
everything's got to be up one step.
It's not even up one step. It's dialed all the way to all the way as far as you can get it, to the point where, how do you say, I almost understand how things come full circle now, because it's like, I'm so sick of seeing asses. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even joking, like, clothing has become more sexual to me than nudity, but I see nudity every day unintentionally.
Yeah. I
don't want to. People just force it. Here it is. Yeah. You're looking at nudity, and it's like, sorry to sound like an old man, but it's like, how do you appreciate something when there's no limitations on it? There's just no restrictions. And I mean, sex isn't exactly complicated. You're going to get bored of it pretty quick, and if you get bored of it at like 25, you're kind of screwed. Y'all might want to slow down on the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Y'all are making sex really boring, and I think that's going to have some really weird consequences. I'm so sick of nudity. I know I'm owning the word prude for now.
No, I know what you're saying, man, because it's like, it's what you were always told. Like,
quit with the asses, stop twerking.
It's what the conservative people always told, young ladies when we were younger, and it kind of might have sounded silly. It's like, oh, that's what your body is special, and you should save it for. And now, kind of, as I've gotten older, I've understood more about that, because it is so cheap out there now. You make yourself a cheap commodity. If you look at it, if you look at the sexual marketplace similar to an economic marketplace, the price on pussy is way down.
It's very low.
If somebody shorted pussy, they'd be a billionaire right now. But
that's very true. Yeah.
I mean, but
I'm investing in dicks. They're gonna come back.
It's a bull market for dicks out there, everybody. Oh man, Honey Pie says it just means we have class. Well, I guess we just proved you wrong on that, didn't we?
Yeah. But no. Before I go off and we'll tie this one off to the bow and get back to Overmountain stuff or whatever we was talking about. I don't mind any of the LGBT stuff. I literally don't mind anything except one topic I'll discuss with you later that it's like kind of like clowns in the back of my head. I will never let people know about. It's the just here in your face all the time, and it's too much and it's obnoxious. Well, that's the point.
I feel like the public is having a bad reaction to it because of, it's not really necessarily the LGB and T so much it is all the other nonsense on the internet.
The cis people are being nasty too. All these e-girls out there and stuff. That's what I'm talking about. It's not an LGBT versus cis thing here. No. We're talking, I'm tired of seeing twerking, y'all. Y'all have cheapened sex to the point where I can see the biggest ass shaking its thing, and I don't even notice anymore
Yeah.
because before I can even get out the door to go pay bills, Instagram or something's already shown me a bare vagina, and it's like, well, there it is for the day. We're done. So
It's just like kind of like
just a little bit. There's no value left in it.
yeah, it's kind of like background noise. Like at the time, it's like
Sex is background noise now. That's how oversaturated it is. That's a good way of putting it.
I can remember years ago I was at the beach. It was probably like 2000. It was like when you're first starting to see DVD players in people's trucks and stuff, and cars and Jeeps, and a lot of people riding around Myrtle Beach with porn playing on their screens in their cars. And it's kind of like it's almost evolved to where like it's almost like that's what we are now, because we carry our porn around with us everywhere in the phone, and we have access to porn anytime you want to. There's a guy I used to work with. He would get caught watching porn in his work vehicle all the time, and it's like it's so pervasive, and that I didn't
balance.
I didn't really intend to talk about porn tonight, but a lot it's been
We're going to age restricted on this.
It's been said on a lot of channels though. They're talking about how like it's really prominent in, I guess you'd say, conservative or right wing media, and even some libertarian media right now, that like porn is basically a big contributor in the downfall of modern civilization, because in order to mate, you have to present yourself in a certain way. You have to have a certain amount of, whether it's strength or good looks or money,
you have
or
to work on something.
Yeah, whatever. You have to apply yourself in some way. But with porn, for young men who have never been out there in the dating market, have never been in love with anybody, all they know is the sexual act. Well, they think that they're getting all that they need from their phone or computer or whatever. So they're not seeking out mates and partners. They're not learning to communicate with the opposite sex. They're not learning to all the values that they need to start a family. Yeah, they're playing
hollow victory.
They're porn and video games. Like, yeah, you're killing the bad guy and you're busting a nut, but what are you really accomplishing? It's all really
They're going to make porn and video games pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah. That's like they
at the end of like a Red Dead Redemption scene, you have virtual sex.
Yeah.
I think virtual reality is going to be the I think AI is like the Amish. I finally get the Amish. I feel so weird that I finally get this. And I also feel like I've kind of time leapt about 10 to 15 years into my adulthood as far as like my mindset. But like I finally get the Amish because I think some people online, because I've been cheekily taking some shots at AI, which I'm going to fight it or anything because I couldn't do anything anyway. I just like to point out that with AI, when it comes to art in particular, nullifies it because you didn't do anything. So it's not you at that point. And I don't know why people don't think that that's the case. But I'm looking into the future on this AI stuff, and it's like, I think the Amish, when they saw electricity, because that's what they're specifically were against in the beginning, I think what they saw was that machines were doing so much work that it was going to start cheapening the human being as a whole. Because they weren't looking at cell phones; they were looking at like electric plows and like cars and stuff.
like this is going to reduce the amount of labor it's going to take to plow the field. What are we going to do with all that time to keep our spirits pure?
Well, I think they're looking more at their bodies too, because like I've bitched about this thing right here all kinds of times. It's the same thing with all forms of technology. There's a balance of convenience, but like, you imagine how much stronger you'd be if you push mowed your yard with one of those old like, no, that's not a good thing, but the Amish did see it as a good thing because it physically builds your body up. But now if you fast forward past electricity down to AI, how dumb are we going to be when all we have to do every day is just type anything into a search engine, never have to think again?
It's already gotten pretty bad about that. I try to resist the temptation to Google things immediately. I try to think about things or talk to somebody and ask them questions. Like, I know it sounds weird, but I'll sometimes send somebody a text or call somebody, ask them something. I could Google it. Like, dude, why don't you just Google it? Yeah, I know I could Google it, but I figured you would know, so I just thought I'd ask you instead. And if you didn't know, we could talk about it, and I could figure out where to look. Like, I Google so much. Honey Pie says, I think porn has a lot to do with a large number of incels. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think another part of that is the internet in particular. It gives high value. We'll just basically look at it scientifically. We'll say high value females, young, attractive, viable females who can have children. A lot of those young women have access to a whole dating pool that they never would, because usually you'd be in your town and you'd have access to the people in your town or somebody you might meet. But now little Bobby Sue down the road, who was always just fine as hell growing up. She's got Drake in her DMs on her Instagram, you know what I'm saying? Or even if it's not Drake, it's, you know, a wealthy guy 3 towns over can see her on the dating app or whatever, and she can seek out men with, you know, nice cars and big houses and money, and kind of skip that whole her age.
I think that's not even happening though.
It is, but maybe not to a huge degree in our area, but it's happening.
From my experience, being in bars every weekend, nobody is dating, nobody is marrying. It's just hordes of girls hanging out together, and I guess maybe they're finger banging each other, but there's no, you know, that's
the bars though.
And you'll see like large numbers of dudes walk in together, and then they all leave together to go play Fortnite together. I'm telling you, you're looking at Afghanistan has a 91%. And they think it may be even higher than this. They think estimated at least 90% of Afghani males are gay.
Oh yeah.
And we can go in. That's a fact. We can go into that another time.
Don't they say like women are for
it's because
children?
Women are, no, they're
and boys
invisible.
are for pleasure.
They're
Isn't that
invisible.
what they say? Oh, okay. Because they only see.
Psychologically, break it down. Women are invisible in their society. They never see a woman until they're well into their adulthood, because women are walking around looking like black versions of KKK members. They're burked up, you know. And so the first time they see women, they're an adult. Meanwhile, they've been hanging out with their bros this whole time. And psychologically, as you grow up, you adapt to your environment. They grow up, and you become sexually attracted to what's around you. And so they can take guys out, they can do whatever they want to with the guys. They're not even allowed to take girls to bars and stuff. Meanwhile, here in America, fast forward, kind of put that in your mindset, what you're looking at. I think we're looking at probably a 50-50, if not 75% bisexuality rate amongst everybody in the Zoomers. Y'all won't admit it, but I guarantee you all the younger people, because how would you not? Like, I mean...
Oh, you're saying because they're sticking to their groups.
They're sticking to their group so much, eventually it's a mental shift. Like, we can call... Well, I'll try to lead to the religious side out of it. There's a lot of psychology to why things go one way or the other, and a lot of it has more to do with survival than it does... you know, sexuality is complicated, but it's pretty simple too. It really is. It's not... I think we pedestalize it a little too much, and that's why we get so mad and offended by it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not even judging it. I'm not saying it's whatever, but I'm really thinking that a lot of men and women are very confused. That's how I'm going to tie it off.
I'll tell you right.
What you're saying.
We'll finish up here. Dalton says he's 23 and single, and the social media aspect of dating does bother him. Because, like I said, there's always going to be someone taller, tanner, more handsome, and wealthy than me who can talk to me anytime, which I guess could happen without social media, but it's so easy now. That's right. And that's the point, is that basically it's not just that it opens up that market. Like, people used to go out to bars to date, right? And people who don't have success in dating apps probably still go to bars, but a lot of people are getting together through dating apps. And when you're using a dating app or social media, you have access to a whole other pool.
But they're not staying together, is my point.
Well, maybe not. But that's another thing, though, is you know, the older high value men are maybe running through the younger high value women, and moving on. But Dalton says, but Dalton, you know, the main thing is, you know, concentrate on yourself and making yourself the person you want to be, and you'll be a high value male. And, you know, even if it's not right away,
that's weird terminology.
Yeah, it's scientific terminology. It's basically looking at it.
Sounds like a buzzword that came from Reddit.
No. It's like high value target. It's just a high value male is somebody who has whatever status, wealth, whatever it is that young women are looking for at the time. That's a high value male, and the high value female is somebody who, you know, has all the things that the males are looking for, which is youth, beauty, and child rearing is traditionally, but not so much anymore.
Yeah, I think...
or child-bearing ability.
I think that the scientific paper don't fully understand the new people, though.
Well,
because what we call high value
versus
somebody else saying high value might not be the same. So.
Well, I mean, when you go out and people hit the dating world, there's a larger number of people. Just like if you're going out to buy, I don't know, buy a new guitar,
which I do.
Okay, there's, you know how the market on the old Les Pauls is, right?
Not too good right now.
Well, there's the market moves and goes. So whatever's in at the time, you're gonna have a hard time finding. So the high value may shift. Maybe if player, you know, it may be like a old Fender Esquire 1 month, and the next month it may be a Les Paul, and then 2 years later it may be a Flying V or whatever. The whatever the high value target is going to shift, but the thing is that's what the most concentration of people are wanting and willing to give the most for. So if you look at it in the same way in terms of dating, you know, you can imagine, well, this week it might be a big titty goth GF.
Hey, Dalton, I'm going to give you some advice right now. Just ignore every bit of that. You've got youth on your side. Because I see the same thing. There are a lot of girls out there dating guys my age. And it has nothing to do with the amount of money.
And also, it doesn't work out well a lot of times in a lot of
I'm
cases.
indifferent to that. Like, I actually know some girls and guys that started dating people much older than them right out of high school. There's 2 girls that dated, like, 30-year-olds, and they were 17 at the time. They're actually still together, kids. I'm not saying,
Yeah, you're not
modern day
condoning
that would be called grooming, I guess, but like I'm not going to condone it or condemn it. My point is, the wealth, I think, is something that young guys get hung in their head, and they see it as such a hang-up that they can't look past it. And I promise, if you just... This sounds so cheesy, but I've seen so many dog shit ugly dudes with very good looking girls. If you just walk up to a girl with some sort of sense of belonging, that is very attractive, because it's like people want to have somebody to hang out with, and if you provide something just as that, like feel like you belong there, I swear that's more than...
Well, if you're walking on eggshells around people, they're going to feel that, and they're not going to respond well to it. And but yeah, I see that, Dalton, and I see how that's a concern, but I don't think it's anything that can't be overcome for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
weird times, but I don't know, maybe balance will restore, or maybe we'll just go straight into a land where everybody's boning robots anyway. It won't matter.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. Won't be much longer. We'll have to wait. You know, I was watching Time Cop last night. You ever seen that movie?
I've never seen Time Cop. I remember the scenes and stuff from it from being on TNT.
I remember that it was a thing, and I always wanted to see it, but I don't think I ever did.
Is that Van Damme?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the worst movies I've ever seen. It was so bad. Like, not to make sense. It's like he's a cop and his wife dies. Oh, wait a minute. First thing off the bat, you find out time travel's real. The government's finding out about it. You skip to the next scene. Van Damme's a cop. Some random guys just come and kill his wife, and then you skip to the next scene, and he's like, it's like 2004, and he's a guy going just back in time to stop people from fucking up the past. And like every
he's a cop.
It's so
yeah,
exactly. And it's so disjointed and awful. It's like the story just jumps around and there's no real logic to it. But anyway, the funniest part of it was like when it, you know, how the early '90s and late '80s in particular, when they would jump to the sex scene with all the, you know, the smooth saxophone playing while there's, you know, just little tidbits of breasts and, you know, a man's ass humping every now and then. that was your big overt sex scene in the movies then, you know. And then you had, you know, of course porn was around, but you had to go to the dirty movie store and rent that or check it out or buy it at the gas station.
The bead curtain. Yeah. You'd hear it's like, oh, somebody's coming out with an R-rated movie.
Yep. Hey, what's up, Alvin? Good to have you with us, man. Oh yeah, so yeah, you just missed our big porn and geese and bat bomb conversation, but we're gonna get into the main topic of the evening tonight.
And, blood pudding bombs.
Yeah, we were a little all over the place, but sometimes that's how it be. You know how it is. So the things that we were going to get into, and if you didn't see our Crime Wave show that we talked about from Johnson City last month, that was, or last week on Wednesday, that was a good one. Had fun doing that. Did y'all see? Have you seen anything of this alien whistleblower that's come out, Tim?
I've heard the term, but I've not taken the time to look into what that is now.
Okay, it's in the past few days. There's been a lot of aliens, though. I want to start right here with this.
Just me, or does the New York Post website not look like the National Enquirer and the Sun did back in the day?
Yeah, it's like the Republican National Enquirer almost.
Yeah. Okay, is that what that is?
That's what it looks like, yeah. I mean, I don't know, but that's what it looks like. The New York Post is, I think, the oldest newspaper in the country.
It just looks like the Sun or the Weekly World News or whatever the style they're using now.
It does, and especially with them being, I mean, it's attention-grabbing and stuff, but with them mainly being a political paper, you would think it would... you know, they were trying to avoid that a little bit. But we got this from body cam footage from Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department here from the New York Post. Captured a suspected UFO soaring across the night sky before a nearby resident called in a report of something 100% not human on their property. Local TV channel 8 now reported. Now let's see if we can find that, because their video has been loading for about 2 minutes here. And has not. There we go. Up. Okay, I see what they've done here. Yeah, let's see here.
The Whistleblower.
No, this is not the Whistleblower.
Oh, there's the
I'm not getting into the Whistleblower yet. Dang it! It will not let me show that full screen.
I see it. Is this the UFO here?
I'm trying to get it full screen there. There we go. Let's look.
They obviously used the camera off the back of a Game Boy Advance to film
Seriously. Well, this was playing, y'all. It wasn't. Now it's wanting to buffer again.
Speaking of buffering, somebody don't. Let's just not do that. Something I've learned from scanner food is that people's houses have much better security camera than people that own businesses. That don't make any sense.
I know. I've always said that when you see those grainy ass security footage from like a bank.
Yeah.
It's like you want my help?
Camera is like 4K, and you need. It's like somebody took 14 pounds of lumber from the back of a Home Depot. You had no cameras. Yeah. It looks like a wanted poster. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, you know where the exits are, right? I mean, presumably you could train the camera on people as they go out the exit, and if they're walking out with a big pallet of TVs, you could, in theory, look at their face.
How does our Ring camera look so much better than all these businesses? I really just don't know. I'm permanently confused, folks. That's my new thing. I'm just going, I don't understand. That's my new shtick on the show.
It's not going to play. Look at this.
The people want you to see the UFO is what it is.
Ridiculous. Yeah, that's
Did you see? There it is.
There we go. Ooh, it's bright.
Sure that's not going to be like another Elon Musk.
I mean, I don't know. It could be a meteor, or it could be hard to tell with that blurry-ass camera, or that blurry-ass view.
Here they come,
Drew Tang reborn, he said. Two figures with big eyes in a backyard.
911 emergency.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Colin, give us a coffee. I wanted to find some aliens. Well, hey, if those 9-foot beings come back into your backyard, you call the police, and we'll come back here. Okay? Yeah.
Beings come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself. I ain't dealing with that.
I've seen 9-foot tall aliens.
Need to call Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith.
Yeah, maybe they already did.
Yeah. Maybe they already forgot about it.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I'm sitting there trash talking them. They've already been flashied.
Yep. Probably what happened. But yeah, that was from a day ago, I think, or 2 days ago. So there was a lot of other people reported it, though. Apparently hundreds of people throughout Vegas reported it. And then this one guy says, I swear to God, in my backyard, I swear to God, this is not a joke. It's actually, we're terrified. They're large. They're like 8, 9, 10 feet, and they look alien to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes. Like, I can't explain it. Big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% not human. And apparently the officers were pretty nervous, too. And he says, I have butterflies, bro. Saw a shooting star. Now these people say there's aliens in their backyard. I'm so nervous right now.
Bro.
And they spoke to another man and some other officers. He says, I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky, too, the officer said. They searched the area and interviewed other witnesses, and they found no new information. So I don't believe in it, but what I saw right now, I do believe in it, a witness said to police. So there you go. Don't really know what was happening, but this comes in the heels of 2 days after we're going to go to New York Post from today. There was a whistleblower went for Congress, I think, the select committee or something like that. Let's see. Get the exact thing pulled up. I got all these ads on here. I can't hardly read the damn article.
We should become a pariah channel and then start reading off these ads as if they are ours.
Hey, that's a good idea. I bet they'd. I don't know if that would do any good or not, but it'd be fun anyway.
No views.
Yeah. The U.S. collects intact UFOs as part of a secret program. A U.S. Air Force veteran plane. This is from Fox here.
We do, yeah. How many? Quite a number.
Ryan, again, this is the kind of stuff people would just be waved off as a complete insane asylum person for even speculating about just, recently, a few years ago. But now it's like, oh yeah, there's a lot of these. What is the average American supposed to think about the government's credibility on this issue, given now what we're discovering, albeit belatedly.
And the government statement is basically that there's no evidence that we've ever found or seen any spacecraft from the Pentagon.
They're
and
claiming UAP. Was it UAP?
they're saying that there are UAPs, but they're saying
None of them's ever read.
they're saying that they've never had any evidence that there is anything linked to extraterrestrials or that they, anything like that.
Has to be
so the official story remains the same, but it's almost like they know nobody believes the official story now. So if they want us to believe aliens are real, they have to tell us that they're not. But let's finish listening to this here.
Well, I think the average person right now just needs to sit and wait a little bit and see this process play out. David has provided a number of documents and pieces of evidence, to my knowledge, that Congress can then validate, and then they'll be in a position then to communicate that information to the American people. I truly believe that transparency is the only way this conversation is going to be resolved. And this is a great step forward in that direction.
We'll see what happens. Seems like it's we've talked a lot on this channel about the whole fake alien invasion, Project Bluebeam, all this stuff that we've heard about where they're supposed to be able to project into the sky, whether it be the Virgin Mary or Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad, or that's probably what it's going to be. Yep. And you talked about that. I think you talked about it with me, but maybe it was Dustin. I wrote a song back in, and I think you talked about it last time. I wrote a song back in 2014 when I was playing with a country band called Honky Tonk Wasteland, and became just kind of perturbed with the state of modern popular country music for the last couple decades, really. And I wrote a song basically about if in the near future we were able to project a screen upon the sky and these country music video stars were projected onto the sky, and suddenly everything fell apart and civilization dwindled till there was nothing left, but the screens were still playing, and the remnants of humanity who had survived in caves and came out look up and they see like Miranda Lambert and Jason Aldean, and they think they're gods. And so anyway, I called the song Honky Tonk Wasteland, but it was kind of fun because the whole what's the whole coda of the religion was like taking your girl down by the fire and laying her down by the fire down by the lake in the truck all night long. yeah, it's a religious ritual. And you got to also like we only like ice cold beer around here, and you have to drink ice cold beer and talk about how much you like beer and all the things that are in country songs.
You're talking about country in the modern state of it. I've been holding this in for a minute, because I'm trying to do this new thing where I don't be so salty all the time about stuff. It's just hard to in modern day to not be salty about things, but I'm trying not to. Especially in music, because I understand music is just entertainment, and if you can separate substantial music from pop, which is kind of like here's good wholesome food versus pop is just sugar, it's not bad. I don't really want to sit here and take a shit on pop music all the time, because I understand what it is. It's just entertainment. Yeah. It's just unsubstantial entertainment, and that's why I don't take too big of a dump on it. But I have to take a stand somewhere. I have to draw a line in the sand somewhere in the world. And Luke Combs did the worst rendition of Fast Car I've ever heard in my life. And I'm not even going to say this from a point that I dislike Luke Combs. He shouldn't have done it. Here's why.
I just don't think men should sing that song, but go ahead.
Nobody should sing it. I know this is going to be a weird stance. I never thought I'd have a stance on something musically, because as a cover, what you do as an artist when you write something, if you manage to get big enough, for example, like nobody knows who Blaze Foley is outside of, but they say John Prine, people know who that is. But he covered a Blaze Foley song, and everybody thinks that John Prine wrote Clay Pigeons, but it was actually Blaze Foley. Everybody thinks that 38 or Three Dog Night wrote Shambhala. It was actually Buckwheat Stevenson's. A lot of those people borrow stuff from. Tracy Chapman didn't write a pop song. Fast Car is literally about her growing up in a shitty situation and how she got out of it. And here comes Luke Combs. You got a fast car. And it's like, dude, you're actually singing about her childhood. And she's going to have to go up there every day and listen to your fat ass sitting here and sing about her child. I mean, there's just something incredible. I don't know. Maybe she's happy about it. Maybe she wanted an easy payday. I don't know. But it just seems incredibly disrespectful. It would be as if Dolly Parton wrote her autobiography down and Morgan Freeman listened to it and went, this is really cool, but I hate her video cassette tape of it because I like my voice better. And he released Morgan Freeman reads Dolly Parton's autobiography.
Well,
without asking her something.
when I was a young lady, there was a woman who went
I
around
wrote this
the town.
song called Coat of Many Colors. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
My mama made me this beautiful coat.
As a young white girl growing up in East Tennessee in the mountains.
I always wanted to be a mule skinner.
Oh,
I'm
shit.
just saying, Luke Combs shouldn't have covered
No, I agree. I agree.
Anyway,
But,
there you go. There's my desaltiness. I'll behave the rest of the
Well,
dog shit.
and I think, I think if the aliens wanted to take us over, there, if you could somehow, take that cover and project that onto the sky, you would probably have a terrible effect upon the population. So let's look at the
You've not
whistleblower
heard
here.
Fast Car Looking Up by Tracy Chapman. It's a great song. Luke Combs shouldn't have covered it, though. It's not his childhood. It's weird. Sorry. It's like vomiting. Just keep coming. It's so enraging that he's just, that's a good song. I'm going to cover it. I'm famous.
Well, you can tell he does. I mean, but just by that, it sounds like he has no idea what the song's talking about and doesn't appreciate it for what it actually is.
That's what I'm saying. I love that song. I would never if I was super famous, I would not cover it and own it.
He just knows
that
it's a popular song and he's covering it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I'm sorry, Luke. I'm not really that mad at you.
David Charles Grush, who's 36, he claimed in a News Nation interview that the U.S. government has been collecting intact extraterrestrial craft for decades as part of a UFO retrieval program. Now,
Grush,
I guess.
Weird name.
Now,
The Dutch.
I wonder how many of them they have, because we do hear, it does seem like, I was listening to, quite frankly, and he was talking to Timothy Alberino. And Timothy Alberino is a big, like, alien, conspiracy guy, and he's like, I think he's a Vatican priest or something. Anyway, he's or not a priest at the Vatican, but I think he's a Catholic priest. In some way or another, he's up there in the high in Catholicism as far as his knowledge of it. But in any event, he thinks the two are kind of the same thing. And then the other night, frankly, was talking to Leo Zagami about kind of the same issue, and he was saying that the aliens are actually something that's what's making us create AI. That these aliens are actually not physical in the same sense that we are, and they're wanting to use AI as an extension of them. Well, this goes on to say that they recovered several crafts, and one of the things that Frankly said in the interview with Timothy Alberino that I thought was interesting was he said there seemed to be, this doesn't make sense to me, that you would fly all the way across or travel through dimensions or time or whatever vast amount of distance that you did to get to the Earth, and then we're just crashing left and right. It's like, what's going on here? How are these? If these people are or these beings are so technologically advanced that they can slip through dimensions, or come from a light year away, or through a wormhole, it's like, why are they crashing in the desert in New Mexico? Like, what is it? I mean, really, there could be a lot of explanations.
From time to time.
Yeah, I mean, there could be a lot of explanation. But if there was, one of the things that I thought about is if it really was like Men in Black, where we're just constantly having travel in and out from this realm or this planet or whatever you want to call it, that would kind of be an explanation for it. If you constantly had travel for it, then yeah, you're going to have some crashes here and there. But if you just have one, ship or craft approach, every few years, the likelihood you're going to have crashes is pretty low. But if you're covered up in constant travel from whatever dimension or realm or whatever this is, you can see how there'd be a lot of crashes, or enough that we'd find. Yeah. Alvin, let's see. Have a Stephen Lee Day. Thank you for joining us, guys. Larger target. What was we talking about there? Oh, we missed something here. Here we go. Stephen Lee Day. They made it, and I missed larger target. What were we talking about? I don't remember what we were talking about. Alvin says something to keep us busy while they launch Fed now at the end of the month. Yeah, and we still haven't even really got into that. But I honestly am a little too misinformed on it, because I'm hearing both sides. I'm hearing one thing, that it's actually a good thing, and that it's somebody actually reigning in the Federal Reserve, which seems unlikely to me. But then I've also that it's total lack of privacy, and beginning of the digital dollar and the end of cash, and it's hard to know which
I'm out. I'm just done
is
with it.
more true. I mean, because the people doing it at the Fed, they'll say neither one is true. That no, this is just a way to make payments faster, and it's better for consumers. And I don't know, but yeah, I definitely would like to be able to find, delve some deeper meaning and deeper truth about what actually is going on there. But as of now, I've not been able to. Dalton says girls, GURLS. And Dalton says, if you were advanced enough to travel through solar systems, you would travel yourself. Would you travel yourself or build robot AI men to do it to it? Yeah, that's a good point, Alvin. I've always thought since, I don't know, maybe since I seen Star Wars when I was a kid, or The Empire Strikes Back, the very beginning of it, they fire those probes out everywhere and they start, going around and, probing the planets, and they have them out all over the universe. And, that's what we do too. We send Voyager and Pioneer and, New Horizons and all these different NASA missions out to the outer rim of the solar system. Some of those, the Voyager 1 and 2, they're out in the Oort cloud. One of them's still alive, sending back signals, and one of them's dead, I think. But we've been doing that since, I think the Voyager missions were in the late 70s, like 78. Maybe Pioneer was a few years before that. But
why do we want to find aliens? Like,
well, people want to know what's around them. Like if you move into your house, I bet you went and like looked in all the closets and like.
Because if I found something in there, I would smash it. But like, is that what we're going to do? Because we're acting like we're trying to find life to make contact. But that's not what people do. We eat everything we come in contact with.
We want to screw green women.
The first time we come in contact with aliens, if they're not attractive enough to bone, we're going to kill every single one of them. We're going to rob their planet. Oh, we're going to war. It'll be Starship Troopers when they find out, like, the bugs were just launching rocks to kind of keep us away from it. It's an invasion.
Yeah.
What if all movies are real and they're just alternate possibilities?
I think Time Cop is definitely real.
Well, he's a cop and he's in time, so it has to be real.
Exactly. Enough said.
Yeah. So, but I don't understand why we want to find aliens, because it seems like if we find them, it's just going to be something else for you to fight. Like.
Well, that's kind of what we're in it for, right? The next fight, all right?
Because if there's aliens, finally we can unify everybody and we can all be Vikings together.
Yeah, that's kind of what they always say is like, it'll bring the planet together, but would it?
I don't know.
I feel like the aliens would probably subvert half of humanity and turn them against the other half.
What if all the aliens look like a specific race of people or something? Like they all come down to look Indian? It's like, oh shit. The Indians were the original people.
Dalton says, historically, when groups of humans ran to other groups of humans, there would be some amount of conflict. Imagine how we react to different species. Yeah, that's what happens. Throughout history, the more advanced, the stronger tribe destroys or absorbs, or a combination of both, the weaker tribes. I forget what movie it's in, but Jeff Goldblum, I think, goes into a
Independence Day?
Yeah, I believe that is it, yeah. He goes into, I was thinking of him in his little diatribes in Jurassic Park, but I think that was from Independence Day. Yeah, he goes into that, monologue about how it would happen. That's what happens throughout history. Stronger civilizations crush weaker civilizations, and a lot of times there's no record that they ever existed. So you'd have to imagine that if, we did become a true spacefaring society, there would have to be, there would be a lot of that going on, especially you just look at think about all the things that have been forgotten and lost to history and lost to time. All the civilizations we'll never know about, all the extinct species, plants, animals, whatever that we'll never know existed. And you think about, you expand that out onto the scale of a galaxy or a universe with, humanity doing that, and probably other species doing that in other places too. It's probably just constant conquest, or maybe we're the exception to the rule and everything else is love and light except for here.
I don't think so. Like, why do we lie so much is one of my questions. Like, we all know what we really mean by everything, but we all get with us like this group think about things. It's all like, well, we're not going to say what this is really about, but like, everybody has to at least know on some level that if we meet aliens, we're going to eat them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you have to think now that, like, everybody's like, oh, Hitler was discussing stuff with the aliens. No, Hitler was probably attacking them too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, we're the meanest thing on this planet. Well, no, maybe not the meanest thing, but we do have a tendency to eat everything we come in contact with. And I just think if we find a civilization, it's going to be Star Trek, but, only way more violent, because we're all going to be flying to the great beyond to go kill ourselves a Hufflepuff or whatever race of alien things these things are.
Spill the tea all over me's in the chat. What's up, Spill? Says she forgot what day it was. I'm going to I got to send myself an email real quick, because speaking of alien creature, I got something to show y'all. Y'all probably seen it before, maybe not. I've never seen one before, oddly enough, considering the area we live. But this, have you ever heard of a Dobson fly?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Wild looking.
Yeah, you've seen them, I guess. So
Oh, yeah, you just catch
I'm gonna show you. I've been an exterminator for a while now, and I've never seen one before, and I've lived in this area.
If it's got short mandibles, it's a male, and if it's got the long or female,
other
if it's got
way,
the long
yeah.
one, it's the male. Yeah.
Long one's a male. It'll bite you if it's female. She's got great big old jaws.
I used to catch these things. They're big. They're huge.
They're underwater bugs. They're insects that live underwater. They have wings and they can fly.
Yeah.
And but they live underwater.
They're outside. They get about the size of your hand.
Have y'all ever seen a Dobson fly? Tell us about it in the chat. This guy right here, I found.
Where'd you find him?
Well, I went to kill some bugs down by the river the other day, and
Food City has a bunch of them in the parking lot late at night in August. I think it's because the river's close by and they get to see those lights.
well, I guess it might take you a minute because it's kind of large files. But I'm sending them over. But a Dobson fly
You Google
is an alien-looking creature.
image.
Yeah.
They're wild-looking things. We called it the Satan bug when we first saw it. When I was like, first time I saw one, I was 18, and I really thought we'd called an alien.
I've seen a lot of weird bugs, but let's look at this guy right here.
God, look at this one. That's a good size one.
Do you see Master Gardener? Of course, it's a 503. Service is unavailable.
503. Yeah, you know me. I'm gonna start doing like a riff-raff off of dang Garfield and Friend.
That's a male. That's a female from the top.
That's a wild old
If you look at her big old jaws there, she can bite the crap out of you.
The males, the mandibles get about as long as her antenna.
Yeah,
They're ridiculously.
The one I found was a male. Let's see if we can
He's got dang
get that picture of the guy.
elephant tusks.
He is not loading. Let's try again. Let's reload here. Did I send him to myself?
Sound kind of like a grasshopper when they fly. Only if the grasshopper was coming from hell.
I was like, is that a bird?
Yeah,
Is that a dragonfly? Nope. That is something altogether different. I have not seen.
Yeah, bats around here.
Box. 2. Bats? Yeah. I see bats all the time.
We had a collapsed mines up in our neighborhood, and so bats would live in the caves and sinkholes. And yeah, we'd go outside and throw stuff up to the bats because they'd dip down because we thought we was kids. We thought they'd eat the fruit, but they would look for bugs. But they would sense the piece of fruit that we'd throw up in there, and you'd see them swirl down, examine it.
Just throw rocks at it.
Yeah, they'd examine them and then they'd leave it alone. Like they'd go I don't know what they were doing, but once they realized it wasn't a bug, they'd leave it alone.
Yeah.
That's a new fear on the internet is sinkholes apparently, and I hate to tell all the new people that are moving to Appalachia.
We have a lot of them.
got a lot of sinkholes. It kind of does it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, we sure do. I wanted to show them the bottom of this thing.
The bottom of gross, man! Don't show me more asses. I have a theory that award shows at some point are just going to be the presenter would just be a big twerking ass that comes out and twerks, and then the award's going to come out of the ass and fly at the winner.
That would fit right in there with the...
No more present, just ding, ding. It's going to play whatever the number one song is that went. It's going to shoot out the butthole. Out of the pooper, too.
Oh, yeah.
We've moved beyond vaginas at that point. We're all about buttholes now.
Yeah, we're vaginas are for...
Dodging flies.
Vaginas are for kids. Yeah, no, having kids.
There you go.
That's
look at that crooked mandibles. Look at that.
Yeah, this is a male here. Look how wild he looks there. And thick mandibles.
How big was he? About his
was about that size, about that long. His body was, and his wings were probably like, I don't know, like that, 5 inches, 6 inches.
Good size.
Good size, yeah. Let's see, I got another picture of him up here. There's a license image. I'll license my image. Mine looks better. Let's see here. Got another one. Let me shrink this guy down. Here you can see his belly. Look, that's another mouth here.
It's like face huggers from Alien, doesn't it?
Yeah, look at that.
Well, that's horrifying that his ass can bite you.
I'm gonna eat you with my big mouth. Or maybe I'll eat you with my little mouth on my butt.
With my hands.
Look He's got a crazy eye right there. Look.
Dude, I always had a weird. It's so stupid. I always had a weird fear of earwigs when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because my grandma had them in her trailer. And I was always afraid of them because the idea of something that could bite you with its butt was really weird.
Worse than getting bit with a mouse for sure. Yeah. I know what comes out of there. Oh goodness. Well, so with this guy, he says we're going to get back into Grush here and finish this up here in the next few minutes so we can talk about the Overmountain men for a minute. Grush worked on the government's unidentified aerial phenomenon task force. They say that they changed that from UFO to unidentified aerial phenomenon. Unidentified flying object, I guess, could only be something that would fly. And did they really want to be accurate? Do you think there was something else? Flying doesn't cover everything in the air, right? I mean, so if that thing, like that TikTok object that defies all the laws of physics like this, I mean, could that really be said to be flying? I mean, flying is operating on, Bernoulli's principle and, having an aeronautic craft create more pressure under the wing than above and fly. So is that really flying if those things are moving outside of space and time or the laws of physics? But is there another reason for them to be calling it UAP versus UFO? Is it because they want us? It seems like they really want us to believe in them now. So maybe since they took so much time making UFO a bad word, now they have to change the term so it's something that's more palatable for people who've been told UFOs are for kooks. Like I've mentioned a couple times on the channel before, if you remember the 2008 presidential election, you probably don't remember it if you weren't watching it closely at the time, at the very beginning of the Democrat primary, Dennis Kucinich, who's a congressman from Ohio, he was running in the Democrat primary, and he was asked almost immediately. It's like they did this to take him out of the race. You had in that race that was Obama and Hillary Clinton and John Edwards were the three front runners, and Obama eventually won. But Dennis Kucinich at the very beginning was kind of set to be a spoiler because he was like the Ron Paul of the Democrats. He was old school liberal,
He'd be hosting SNL.
Yeah.
Tonight's guest. Dennis Kucinich.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. He was an old school liberal. He was he didn't believe in he wasn't a communist authoritarian liberal, but he believed in using the government to help people. He was non-interventionist, anti-war kind of a good kind of guy. I like Dennis Kucinich, but it's like almost they wanted to take him out immediately because one of the first things they asked him is, "Hey, sir, years and years ago you talked about seeing a UFO. Can you tell us about that?" And he said, "Yeah, I saw this and it did this and blah blah blah." Boom, he's out of the race. He's a kook. This guy says he saw a UFO. What a nut! But now they just 15 years later, the government is out there actually pushing, releasing videos. But then again, you've got this never happened before, where there's been a congressional committee to investigate this kind of stuff, and there is now. So that's pretty interesting. Let's see.
You should come to East Tennessee on a good cicada year. It was good last year.
Alvin says Kucinich was the mayor of Cleveland when the Cuyahoga River took on fire. Okay, I'll be honest. I don't know a whole lot about Kucinich in his early career, but I do know that I like some of the stuff he says in Congress and some of his votes. Not all of them, but
I like the idea of setting a river on fire.
Yeah.
I might be a fan of this guy. No.
Yeah, I'm not saying he was a good mayor or a good politician or he had good ideas, but I think he had a good-hearted guy, and he was against all the wars that everybody else was against. So I can at least give him credit for that.
Argue with him, Alvin.
But they eventually. The deep state sure didn't want him in there. 78-ish, Alvin says. He said he liked him too.
78 was when the river caught on fire. Okay.
Yeah, but they effectively removed him from that primary just with that, because as soon as he started talking about UFOs, the news cycles did one run. Dennis Kucinich is kooky, and then they just. He's no screen time, no interviews, and you have your explanation because you were wondering. Here's a video of him talking about how he saw a UFO. This guy's crazy, right? Well, now this whistleblower has come out for a couple of interviews, and I think he's going to this newly formed congressional committee to explain what he saw there. And he's talking about intact spacecraft being brought in. Now, they brought in the Department of Defense. And she told the New York Post that the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, formerly the UAP Task Force, they said They, quote unquote, have not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession of reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently. Well, we've had tales from most prominently, yeah, and the Hood too, and most prominently, David, what the hell's his name? Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar was the main guy who was down there talking about his experiences at S4 and working on what was it, reverse engineering a Element 115 generator that was found to power a spacecraft. But you could assume, I guess, that there were other kinds of spacecraft too, or other kinds of craft, as we see a lot of big variety of things. And so is this just tech that human beings are working on? The military, you like to talk about the Glocken?
No, the Glucken.
The Glocken.
What is that guy's name?
Giorgio Tsoukalos.
Yeah.
They bring that one up a lot, but realistically, we've had a lot of different attempts. I mean, you go back and look at some of the early flying machines. Just because we invented the airplane, a lot of that stuff didn't stop. They didn't stop trying to invent crazy flying machines, but they used what worked, and then the military said, hey, well, we could use something that could hover, and they came up probably pretty quickly with
the drone.
The helicopter, the drones. They've got quad drones now that a human being can ride on these things, and they could fly you in on it. I don't think that those things just. If you remember when we first started seeing those drones, they just popped up on the consumer market. We hadn't seen them. We hadn't seen them flying around like military base. We hadn't said, "Oh, the military look at our new drones that can fly and hover and blah blah blah." They were toys. But before they were toys, the military had them, and you can see them being used in Ukraine right now. We heard about Predator drones and like jet, remote control.
Those are like
gliders,
like plane-looking things. But yeah, those are essentially the same thing.
Yeah, but we've had quad gliders, and like I said before, quad rotor drones. Like I said before, I think in that game Metal Gear Solid 5, it takes place in the 80s, and they've already got like holographic touch screens and a lot of the tech that we have today. I think that's probably a realistic depiction of a lot of the stuff that your, top tier, I guess, spies and all these guys and people who had access to the best of the best working for military intelligence and, aeronautics programs at aerospace. They probably had stuff like that back then because the touchscreen became public in like the late 80s. So I wouldn't be surprised if they had, or early 80s, holographic touchscreens.
I would like to know how far ahead they are. Invisibility is real. It has to be.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty easy one right now. You could have a surface that you just covered with a screen and have several cameras hidden within the screen and just project what's on the other side of the object on the screen that the viewer is facing, and you could have a 360 degree. It's pretty elementary, really. If you have access to the equipment, you can make a cloaking device probably pretty easily. You can buy a Samsung phone where the touchscreen folds in half and doesn't have a crease in it. Yeah, you do whatever you want.
Foldable stuff, man. I've had so many foldable phones. The wiring on the inside eventually lets go, and yeah.
But the point is, you can take that screen and flex it and bend it, and it will cover a surface if you wanted to do that with it.
I've recently switched to a Pixel from a Samsung Galaxy, and I only have one note. This should not have been called a Pixel. They should have called this the Google Slide. It's all like, I feel like it's like some kind of new game now, because anytime you want to do something with every command is a slide of the phone, like the screen. It's a really weird.
Most Samsung's like that too.
Yeah, but so you have like back buttons and stuff.
No, I don't. I don't have no back button.
You've got buttons though. Like you say, your individual stuff's got stuff in there.
No, I don't. If I want to go back, I can do swipe like that. Or if I want to clear, I go up like that. And then if I want to do split screen, I do.
Okay, well apparently the new Samsung Galaxies are shit, because my last Samsung had a back button.
You can put a back button on it.
Well, you can't do that. Well, if there's a back button, I'm gonna put it on this thing. I'm just saying, I don't like the idea. There's like some of this this weird stuff. I don't like it. It's weird. It's like Harry Potter magic casting or something, trying to do swapping shit.
I like it. My daughter went to Universal Studios. My daughter went to Universal Studios this past weekend, and she was telling me about some of those rides they have down there. Man, they're pretty wild.
Way better than Disney.
Oh yeah,
it's way better than Disney.
I mean, it sounds like the stuff she was telling me about when when I was a kid, if a kid told us that they rode a ride where, they're like riding a car through town and all of a sudden it like falls down through the glass and Spider-Man swings down and grabs the car and it all looks super real and
it does look real.
And Spider-Man grabs the car and swings with you and is throwing you around and there's bumps and crashes and shit. Huh?
Did she get to do Hagrid?
Yeah, she did.
That's probably the wildest one.
But what made me think about it was she did the Harry Potter world where they go through and you get a wand and she bought Dumbledore's wand and you go through and you have to swap certain incantations and swap the wand a certain way and I guess there's a magnetic sensor or hour sensor or something in the
wand. There's all kinds of like little stuff you can do around the area, like there'll be like something on the ground, and you do something and like the curtains will move and it's the whole place is set up really good. The whole thing really does look like good enough to be a movie set.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but that stuff has come a long way, and we wouldn't, like I said, when we were kids, we had. The Chuck E. Cheese and Showbiz Pizza animatronics.
Showbiz and his fucking stogie. Hey, kids.
That was about the best we had. And the Country Bear Jamboree or whatever it was that they had where they had the stuffed bears or whatever playing. But, it's not like you could think you would ever mistake that for something that was real. But now you've got animatronics that look real. You've got, holograms that look real. You've got VR. You've got augmented reality. You got all these different things. And so all this stuff didn't come out of nowhere. They were building it quietly behind the scenes, and then at some point, private tech became able to use it to, make televisions or, monitors or cell phones or whatever. But all this tech almost certainly started with like a DARPA or a Boeing or Lockheed Martin or something like that.
I bet people would think it was fun if you took this one part. We could probably make all of our money back off this one shield thing here that does this thing people would think is fun.
Yep.
Meanwhile, it's just the side panel of some kind of new atomizer bomb that makes it melt from the inside.
Well, the thing like the SR-71 Blackbird, that thing had been around for like 15 years before they admitted it. The stealth bomber. They unveiled it in the 80s, but it had been around for a long time before that. And people were reporting these, supposed TR-3B crafts that were like these big black triangle crafts. Apparently those were just crafts that the government was manufacturing too. But we see a lot of things like those TR-3Bs. They range from like stealth bomber size, and then you also see giant ones. So it's almost like, are they trying to copy the big versions of it that they see? Because you got something like the Phoenix. Remember the Phoenix lights? A lot of people said that all those looked like
a triangle.
Yeah, well, from where they were at on the ground, it was hard to really tell from the video. But the witnesses said it looked like it was all part of one craft that was moving. It wasn't a swarm. And the official story was it was flares or something
big ass flares
flying in, moving in formation. It's like, well, the witness on the ground were like, no, it couldn't be flares because flares don't just all move together uniformly and all go the same way and stick together. It's like, I know what a flare looks like. That was not a flare.
Big hovercraft like off. Well, I was going to say Avengers, but I'm going to say Mario. The big pirate boat.
Oh yeah, the big ship,
big
new
version
ship.
of that instead.
Wouldn't it be crazy if like the aliens came around, they were flying stuff like that? It looked like a freaking log cabin that flew.
I'd switch sides. I think that's hilarious.
I'm going to live in the forest planet.
You come down and they literally look like the Vedas people, those like weird pale looking people that are in all the artwork. They're all nude and wearing gold chains.
Let's see here. Spill says she and Alvin are talking, and yeah, he does kind of look like a fisherman, Alvin. Alvin, you do. He says he used to get a line wet when he was a kid, but became a paratrooper and a ranger and an engineer and a consultant. Fishing's good for sure, and I do know how. Spill says they had Peter Piper pizza. Chuck E. Cheese was a drive. We actually didn't have Chuck E. Cheese here. We had Showbiz, but yeah. And
so I actually got to see both of them.
Then we had Mr. Gaddy's. I don't know if you remember that.
In Bristol, yeah, I went there a few times as a kid.
They didn't have the animatronics, but they had like the shows and the games and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's like CC's with an arcade.
Tim says, or Alvin says, Cliff and Tim, what about the helicopter facility in Piney Flats where all the traffic spoofs their tail numbers as foreign airliners? Oh, I didn't know they did that. That's interesting. You have to tell me more about that.
Tell us more about it. I would like to mention that if everybody knows about the little private plane that got shot down the other day, that came from right up the road at Elizabeth.
Oh, did it?
Not shot down, like crashed.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Yeah,
But it didn't fly into New York airspace?
It took out of Elizabeth.
Wow.
I watched a pilot breakdown because I always like try to find something that really does make sense when it comes to things. He claims that everything that made total sense, if you look at the actual line of it, the big sonic boom that everybody heard was what they rumored was the plane getting shot down. But if you listen to the actual audio call, there's a fighter plane that's trying to get there. And the only way they're going to make it on time is if they have permission to go supersonic, which causes a big boom in the air. And so they gave him permission to do that since he had now entered the space. And I don't know what's happened from there, but the plane came down, crashed into the mountains. That took off out of Elizabeth and over at the old Moody Bible Institute because they use that for private planes now.
Well, that's where I was driving through there and on my way to pick up my kid from school, and who should stop by but old Dale Earnhardt Jr. just crashed in the road in front of me. Yeah, he crashed in the road in front of me. The plane, I didn't actually see it happen because I was looking over the BP, and just all of a sudden it was just like smoke coming up from everywhere. And I pulled into the BP, and all they all started showing up and running out there and helping him. And like this firefighter came in there, and he's like, "Oh, I need a Gatorade and a candy bar. This guy's having a diabetic emergency." And one of the workers over there had run out there. I was in line at the time. I was buying some smokes, and I was like, "Here, I'll pay for it. Ring it up, go." And went outside, and I didn't know what was going on at the time, just that there was a plane crash. And then I found out later it was Dale Earnhardt. But
where did Alan Kowicki crash?
He crashed in Bristol.
Did he? Yep, I have an Alan Kowicki card at home. I
don't know exactly where, but it was flying out of Bristol. Let's see.
Mentioned a long time.
Stephen Lee says the pizza here is trash. Well, a lot of it is. You got to know where to go. Johnson City's a good pizza. I don't know about Greenville. I think that's there, and they're in the Greene County area there. But we go out if you come up to Sims in Johnson City, they're good. That's pretty good New York style if you like New York style. That's the way to go to me.
I'm not picky with pizza.
Rocks makes a good wood fire if you like that.
I haven't been there. That's Kingsport though, right?
No, that's in Johnson City.
Okay, never mind.
Here in Elizabethton, we have the Black Olive. Now, I've not been to the other ones, but the Black Olives are Italians from New York, and they make some good ass food. You want a good pie? You go there, you get like an 18-inch pie. It's like $20, but it's like greasy and cheese and pepperoni just laid to it. And then they got all your fancy Brooklyn Bridge and Manhattan Bridge and all these stuff with all these fancy sauces and stuff. But if you like New York pizza, that's probably my favorite is Black Olive. Sims is probably my second. And as far as New York, I don't know. There used to be a place called Capri, but I think they're out of business now. They did a good New York pizza. And you got wood fired at Rocks and Scratches.
Smoky Mountain Bakeries up in Round Mountain.
I've not tried them.
They make a wood fire. I was a big fan of Scratch. I think they're closed now. I wasn't a big fan.
Probably. They stayed closed forever.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of how they treated their customers the last year or two they were open. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, didn't they come out with like saran wrap around their face and hand you the pizza on a big paddle?
Pizza, like one of those big cooker paddles and stuff.
Like, that's still hot, man.
I'm sitting there, it's like, guys, I've been eating here for years, and I know none of y'all have washed your hair the entire time I've been eating here, and you're going to say I'm the one that's got germs? That's just a little bit absurd.
For real. Let's see. Pete Spill says Showbiz was in Dallas. Yeah, there's and Mad Greek is decent too. I like Mad Greek's pizza.
Mad Greek pizza. I like their avocado egg rolls.
I've never eaten anything there but their pizza. But
okay, we'll go to either one of them's fine. I prefer the one that's over near Cheddar's, up on the hill. But I like the avocado egg rolls when they're in season. As weird as that is, they only have them certain times of the year. And I like just getting their Philly. I think they have a good sandwich.
I don't know. The pizza here, I think maybe, like I said, there's only a few places that make a real good pizza.
Who's complaining about the pizza here?
Stephen Lee.
Where do they come from?
They from PA.
Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. But they're right though.
I don't have any opinion
if you don't go to the right.
I think New York pizza. I tried a bunch of it. I thought New York had garbage pizza.
I love their big greasy pizzas, man.
But that's all it was. I was like, this is like a Red Baron.
Oh yeah. Well, if you want a New York pizza, the way to go is just a straight pepperoni, extra grease.
I like that grease.
Red pepper and Parmesan a little bit.
Sliding through my system like my colon's a slip and slide.
Yeah, you can't eat it all the time. And I want one big giant piece so I can just fold over and. Italian Pizza Pub was good too, but I don't know if they're still in business. But you got stuff like Rock's and Greg's. I don't care for them. They're like just they cut it into strips and they use weird cheese and they put the cheese on top of the topping.
I don't know if that's like pizza. That's something that's morphed into a new version of food at that point.
Yeah, they put all the toppings, the cheese on the toppings, and they hardly put any sauce on it, and they just smother it in cheese.
And then
cut it in strips, and it's all right, but
it is good. But man, you're gonna pay for it later.
It's like $30 too. You're gonna pay for it when you get it too, and to me, it's not worth it. I'd rather have a big giant 18-inch, big foldable slices like that. Let's see here. Now let's see this guy. Let's get back to Grosh because we keep getting off topic. But
I'm curious.
There's
What
just so many things to talk about.
Pennsylvania they're from now, because I've been venturing up in Pennsylvania a few times this year.
Oh, have you?
I just think like serendipity or whatever that word is, singularity. I don't know.
Alvin says Flight Radar 22. Why did I not see that? Flight Radar 24. I didn't see that earlier. Was that there? Spill says Round Table and CC here. Spendy and cheap. Spendy and cheap.
I think.
Round Table.
I told Moose he should do this. Moose should open a hot dog stand and call it Trainwreck Rockets.
Yes. Now,
because he's
a hot dog man.
I'm a hot dog man.
Oh, hot dogs.
I know who we ever stand.
Call them hot dogs.
Oh man! All right, old Moosey, he wrote a good one there, and Moose, if you're out there, I've got to come see you. But whenever I go see Moose, I really do take him a sack of hot dogs from Salmon's over here in Elizabethton because he used to go to Salmon's when he was a kid and he didn't get over this way much. So if I go see Moose, I usually take him a sack of 6 or 8 hot dogs, and he's got him some Salmon's there. But as far as pizza. Not a whole lot of options, but some good ones. Yuba City, I don't even know where that is. It's near Sacramento, ain't it? Actually, no, I don't know. Spills in Mendocino, that's right. Let's see.
She ever go to Mendocino Farms?
I bet she does. Okay, so Grush, he suggested that some of the vehicles or that more than just vehicles were found in some cases. He says, well, naturally, when you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots, and believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true. He added. So according to him, they're not just sending drones, they are sending manned craft. So why would they be sending manned craft unless they were wanting to travel here for a specific person? You would think for exploration purpose, they would send kind of a drone craft or something. Especially if there was a danger of them crashing. You'd think they'd want to find that out. He says that he hadn't actually seen photos of the extraterrestrial craft, but he had spoken at length with intelligence officials who had allegedly come forward to him. He said he thought it was totally nuts at first and he was being deceived, that it was a ruse, and people started confiding in him, approaching him. I had plenty of senior former intelligence officers that came to me, which I knew almost my whole career, confided in me that they were part of the program. So that sounds suspect to me. That's the part of I'm wondering if this the guy is, and a lot of people are, he's setting off a lot of people's alarm bells. He's setting up a lot of red flags for people because, suddenly this guy just gets to come out and talk about all the things he's seen, and it's like, who approved this release? Somebody approved this release at the Pentagon, because it used to, when you were, if all this was true, you'd be a target for an assassination or a disappearance or whatever. They'd have a lot of reasons to take you out, and they've got a history, according to a lot of people, of doing that. So he says people start to confide in me, approaching me. So he has senior former intelligence officers that came to him and confided in him. Why do they confide in him? They're breaking their confidentiality agreement to tell this guy, and several people are breaking their confidentiality agreements and telling this guy, or maybe I guess he has the same clearance as them as possible, but it just seems odd.
He just has that condition.
Well,
have you ever known people that have that condition?
I have that condition. People,
Do you? Me too.
People tell me things that they should not tell me.
I'm carrying secrets and it burns a hole in my stomach. So please stop telling me stuff.
People tell me things that they should not tell me all the time.
This guy's
luckily they can tell. I guess they can tell that I don't, tell people things. But if I heard of somebody, hiding a really big secret,
if I had to know where a body was, I'd be 5 minutes. I'd be at the police.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's cases where people can, sense that in you and then tell you something, and you're like, oh, I gotta tell Bob this. Steve's coming to kill you, Bob. He told me the other day he got drunk and said he's gonna come up. Whatever it is, for some reason people are telling him all this guy, but I still seem like, if it was just normal people, crazy guy at the gas station comes up and, tells him about his, I don't know, his invisible cat that lives in his bicycle basket. That's one thing, but you have multiple senior intelligence officials coming to you, sneaking bits of a classified UFO program where they supposedly recovered bodies, and they're all telling you this stuff. That seems kind of suspect to me. Seems like there's kind of an op going on, but who knows? That's the tricky thing about psyops, is you never know. Like, if you know you're being psyoped, you can't tell which way you're being psyoped necessarily. So Department of we said the Department of Defense already shut that down, but they said they're following the data and investigating it and blah 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 blah, and they said they welcome the opportunity to speak with any foreign or government contractor who believes they have information relevant to the historical review. I bet they would like to speak to anybody who had any information relevant to that. And there's Grush with his M4 there and his aim point, and
that looks like a dang paintball gun with a hopper on top.
Yeah, I think that's his case for his glasses. Something. Some kind of case, and then that's his aim point optic. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I wonder if paintball's even still a thing, or if like airsoft just took over.
Oh, I don't know. I hear paintball was a lot more fun because you get covered in paint.
Yeah. But the
it hurts more too.
It's more like guns.
More realistic, yeah.
Bullets are smaller and they fire,
Yeah, and you can have like a small magazine that, instead of a big tank. Let's see. Yeah, have you ever seen those, professional paintballers? They're just like holding the gun up over the wall and just like dumping the paintballs in, not even looking, just pouring them through. Let's see.
Speedball rounds. We actually won one because we realized that everybody ran out of bullets because we noticed that there was no more balls hitting the trees. We kept hearing but we got to notice there was nothing hitting the leaves. And we're like, let's go. We had paintball story. We played that pretty hardcore for a couple of years. I kind of got the wind knocked out of my sails because a guy from church got a little overexcited. Was playing the speedball course. It's like a football field with pieces of tin laid up. Try to get to the flag or whatever. I grabbed the flag. I really thought I was in Hans thing, and he saw me go by. Didn't know he was there, and he got me from like a foot and a half away, 380 feet per second. Boom, boom, blew 2 holes in the shirt. I have 2 quarter-size scars on my back to this day if you look for it close enough.
Dang. I didn't know they'd hit you like that.
Dude, he hit me point blank.
Yeah. I've got shot with BBs a lot, Red Riders and 400 foot per second BB guns, and
you crank those things hard enough, they'll get stuck in your skin.
Well, I had one in my shin for a long, long time. It finally came out when I was about 30.
Did you hear a pellet?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Oh, dude, we used to have BB gun wars. We'd chase each other and shoot each other, and the only rule was try not to shoot each other in the face. But
we did bottle rockets.
Yeah, we did that too. We'd put bottle rockets in the BB guns and shoot each other. The worst injury we had was my brother was running down the hill and had his Red Rider, and there was another kid chasing him down the hill and shooting at him. My brother just went back with the Red Rider and just shot without even looking. And it hit dude right in the teeth, front teeth. It just chipped his tooth a little bit. It could have been a lot worse, but it was a close one.
God.
I actually have a friend, or a guy I used to know. His one of his kids, like stepbrothers, actually died from a BB gun. His older brother, didn't know. He wasn't much older than him. The kid was like 3 or 4, something like that, and put that BB gun in the back of his head and pulled the trigger, and it killed him. And from BB guns,
wow, yeah,
it's I guess a soft,
part of the air pressure and stuff on a kid's head too.
Exactly.
I'm sure everybody knows about the famous case of the pastor in the blanks, right?
I don't know about it, but I do know there's actors doing that.
Well, there was a famous case back in the day of a pastor who thought he was going to be dramatic, and he put blanks in a gun and was going to pretend to shoot himself at the pulpit, not realizing that just the explosion coming out of the gun would kill him.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. No, I knew there was a case of an actor who did that. He was, rehearsing and just was trying to be funny and grabbed the gun and, shot himself with a blank and killed him immediately. If you want to see what a blank will do to you, I think it's
still the explosion.
I think it's Kentucky Ballistics maybe that does blank explosions, and he takes it goes all the way from like a 22 blank up to a 50 BMG blank. And you see a 50 BMG blank up on the side of a fake skull. There's nothing left of it. But even like you start getting up into a 9mm. Anything past that, the blank will kill you just as dead as the bullet. If you're
this was a revolver
if you're
the guy
within a
was
few
using.
feet from it, yeah, something like a 357 blank. Yeah, you're dead meat, dude. Yeah, because they still make a great big boom, and it still builds pressure all the way down the barrel,
It still
and all comes out
yeah.
in one place. You know.
Compressed explosion.
Yep. Like you ever see what happens if you hold a gun barrel under the water, or it's like stick a potato on it or something like that? It splits open like a banana, like a peeled banana. So just because you don't have the bullet in it, you still have that kind of pressure.
I'm still under the idea that we need to bring back a form of the blunderbuss. I think.
Oh, there's blunderbusses out there. Brandon Lee's not the one I was thinking of, Alvin. I know he did die from a blank,
yeah.
but this was an actor who was laughing and joking and shot himself with it in the head. Let's see, missed some stuff. Worked at I missed a lot here. Let's get back here. Alvin said used to eat at old Dog and Suds at Fayetteville. Now called Ho Chi Minelli's. Ho Chi Minelli's. That's hilarious. Is it a Vietnamese show tunes place? Let's see. Served canned spaghetti and chop suey. That's too good. All hours. Yeah, that's what you want there. Worked at Families First in Mendocino, Mendocana, says Spiel. Mendocana. I see there. Some of the small places are bomb. That's the best places, man. I'll tell you, while I'm out shouting out good pizza, I got to shout out Big Dan's Barbecue in downtown. Big Dan, he used to run a place called Creekers. It was really good, and I didn't even really know for sure that was his barbecue restaurant. I went down there and ordered some barbecue the other day. Got some brisket and some pork. Now, you pay for it, but it is good. And
yeah, but
I mean, it's not that much. It's not that much.
You can get a sandwich and fry for like $10. It's really not too much.
Yeah, me and B got a large sandwich. I got like a large brisket sandwich. It was like $10 for just a sandwich, but I could only eat half of it. I mean, it's huge. And then good old slow cooked beans and good fries and good slaw. And B got a pork, and it was huge too. But for us to get like the biggest thing on the menu and 2 sides was like $30. So it's not too bad, but for a sandwich and fries, $15 is a lot for me. But when you really think about it, I don't really eat out a whole lot other than at work. I'll grab some fast food sometimes, but
I don't like eating out anymore. I'm actually done with it, as dumb as that sounds. I actually got to the point where I was sick of fast food, but now it's like this. It's been creeping up because McDonald's is actually better than most places because it's been so consistently just what it is. It's like I didn't mind paying $12 for a burger. I didn't want to, but now when the burger's garbage and I don't get a straw and my pop's flat and there's no napkins, I'm just so aggravated. Like, it's fast food. It's already bottom of the barrel garbage. At least give me all of the pieces that go with it. So I'm just instead of fighting the system and expecting people to make a better burger, I'm just going to start eating frozen dinners again, I guess.
We went to Hardee's the other day at work, and Joe was like, "I'm gonna eat, try to eat a little better." So you ordered a regular cheeseburger and a and a fry and a drink. And the regular, it was like $8.
The bacon
It was like $8, and the regular cheeseburger looked like a sausage patty in the middle of that bun. Alvin says they don't do that kind of stuff, especially to a young guy. The last person that was fighting, exactly. That's highly suspect. Spill says Cafe Confessions in line with me. And Spill says Stephen Lee's cracking up there. Spill says her sons were playing and their friend got shot in the tear duct of his eye. Went right in the hole. Damn. Plastic baby.
I got a spaghetti tobacco spear. I don't know why I said spaghetti.
Oh yeah, Brandon.
Brandon Britt, yeah, he got a tobacco spear and he's
straight through him. Ooh, that was awful.
Spaghetti.
How'd you get spaghetti from tobacco spear? Yeah. I mean, that was like 4th grade when that happened to him.
Yeah, he was spearing it and I guess he fell or something.
Yeah.
That was back before tobacco was. I don't know. You don't even see tobacco fields anywhere around here anymore.
No,
they were everywhere for a while.
I know. I worked in them from the time I was 11 until I was about.
They called it spear and
14.
tobacco. Everybody did it when I was a kid at least once.
I did it. I did the full tobacco. We'd cut and spear and hang and
you
everything.
Go by and see the barns that have the big doors wide open, and you'd see those big tobacco leaves hanging in there for
my favorite part was always climbing on the top of the barn to hang the stuff up there. I was always like swinging around on rafters and stuff and putting the big steaks up there and hanging them from the top. But yeah, that's how I made money to go to the movies and buy candy bars and steal cigarettes till I was old.
I made
enough
it
to get
by
a job.
shaking my ass.
Hey, got to do what
Call
you
me
gotta,
Timo.
the timid hippo.
Yeah.
Spill says she's talking about Capers Barbecue in Waco, Texas, the best you ever had. I've never had Texas barbecue, so I can't. I've never been to Texas, so I can't say it's the best.
I will say Memphis can take that dry rub stuff and stick it up their hind ends. That's like trying to eat cornbread, hot cornbread.
I
It
like
makes you
some
thirsty.
Memphis barbecue.
It has to have sauce on it. It can't be that dry rub stuff. It's so dry.
I like
No moisture.
I like a Texas style barbecue that I've had that I bought at like motorcycle rallies and stuff like that, and they have like a barbecue guy come out, and he always cook like brisket and stuff, and doesn't have any sauce, doesn't offer any sauce. You don't need it.
If it's juicy, it's fine.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm saying that dry. No.
Well, if you got a good Memphis barbecue, it doesn't necessarily have to be dry, but I do know what you mean. Let's finish this up so we can talk about Iron Mountain, man. I got an early day tomorrow, so it's almost midnight. So let's see here. What was the last thing I wanted to finish on? I had one more point I wanted to make on this article. Where's that? Oh yeah, here we go. And according to Sean Kirkpatrick, and he's the director of this office here at the Pentagon, he went to a public NASA meeting last month, and he said that only a tiny fraction of the hundreds of UFO sightings reported over the past 3 decades are actually unexplainable. And of course, how many times do you look outside and you see something moving through the sky, and you don't know what it is? Most of the time, it's going to be a satellite, a drone, an airplane, a helicopter, one of those things, a radio tower, a meteor. Most of the time, you see something you don't know what it is, that's what's going to be. But there are cases, and according to Mr. Kirkpatrick, just 2 to 5% of those were possibly really anomalous as well. If they were 2 to 5 that were possibly really anomalous, then they probably were anomalous, because if they were possibly anomalous, that means you don't know what they were, so therefore they were anomalous. But the 800 sightings reported to them over the past 27 years, that's reported to the Department of Defense. A lot of people don't even report them to the Department of Defense because they know it's not going to go anywhere. They know they'll get laughed at, so they started reporting at places like the Mutual UFO Network and a lot of independent researchers and, cable TV and, public access television, people that did the tour circuits like your Freeman Fly kind of guys and your what was the name of those guys that were traveling around the country doing the UFO talks in the
Lonely Island Boys.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you know what I'm talking about. There were people that, back before there was the internet, people would hit the circuits. They would go to churches, they would go to VFWs and convention halls. And
Dude, how many times I had a guy, well, actually, this is more recent. I was so proud. It's been probably the last 7 years because it felt so old school. I was in a grocery store and a guy walked up to me and goes, "Hey, buddy." And he handed me a CD that had Aliens in the Bible written on it. And I went, okay. I was so excited, and it's like a compilation of stuff that I could have found online that he put on there, but I was just like, this is so old school, I want it.
Well, I remember those days, and that was when I first started finding out about conspiracy theories and political conspiracies, and realizing that it wasn't all what it cracked up to be. Sometime in the early 2000s, and I started getting into that kind of stuff. And that's what we do. We go around slinging DVDs, and you'd have a buddy who'd make 100 DVDs, and you'd go give them all out, and you'd make 100 more of, I don't know.
We did that with chick tracks and baubles. I never tried to proselytize with alien people.
I didn't do aliens, but I did stuff like Endgame and Police State and Road to Tyranny, a lot of the early Alex Jones stuff, Loose Change.
InfoWars.
Yeah. So when I first had my my head blown off with all that stuff, I handed out a lot of those. But let's see. The last thing I wanted to mention on this, the 16-member group of scientists and independent experts met in Washington, D.C. last month for the final deliberations before releasing a report detailing the findings of a 9-month UFO investigation, which is slated to be published in July. So are they priming us for that? I don't know. You tell me, but it sure feels like it. It's hard to know what these people are doing, but when you see what they do enough times, you start to build some patterns, and if their pattern's holding true, then this is somebody they're letting come out and talk for some reason or another. They're either given a, limited hangout, partial disclosure, where you feel like you're getting something big, but they're keeping back the important stuff. Kind of like we were talking about the Y-Files You know, we saw a new Y-Files video that was up today.
Well,
Haven't
he
watched
called
it.
him out until he invites us on, so I
But
can
it,
call him
but it was
to
on,
his face.
but it was on time travel. And one of the things I've noticed about the Y-Files, I've not watched a lot of his channel, to be honest. So
I've only watched that one video.
I'm not going to accuse him of anything, but immediately off that video, you and I both were like, "That's got to fit." But the more I look at him, the more I feel like that too, because it's like he's getting into woo-woo stuff that may be real. I'm not saying it's not real. Crop circles. I definitely think there's something to crop circles. Definitely think there's something to aliens. I definitely think there's something to. We did Project Looking Glass 2 weeks ago, so we were talking about time travel before him. So did we travel back in time to beat him and get the jump on this? No, it's a safe topic you can talk about, right? So you could say, "Ooh, the CIA is involved in time travel. The CIA is involved in aliens," and but you're not talking about, the CIA poisoned children's milk in South America. You're not talking about the CIA tricking people into, machine gunning crowds so they can blame it on the political opposition of the guy that they want to take out of power in the Middle East. They don't talk about, Mohammed Mossadegh and the Shah in Iran, and they don't talk about the Iran and Iraq war, and they don't talk about Libya, they don't talk about Syria, they don't talk about the CIA going into Panama, and all the different things that they did around the world. Basically, fighting terrorism. Well, really, they're just removing despots that are against the United States and replacing them with despots that will play ball. So that's the kind of stuff they don't want you to find out about the CIA. It's not that they're investigating time travel or remote viewing or crop circles. They don't care if you find that about, because what the fuck are you going to do about it?
They don't want you focusing on the real issues, like
Tell us what it is.
why was Mario Land 2 for the Game Boy definitively one of the best Mario games ever created, and yet it still does not have a Super Nintendo port.
Well, they do have a Super Mario World 2, but not Mario Land.
Well, 6 golden coins. It never got a Super Nintendo port. They could take that game
I was thinking of Yoshi's Island.
and make a much better Super Nintendo port out of it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Dude, I was literally, you know why that popped in my head?
Why?
I don't know why that popped in my head, but I was sitting there at a bar, and there was an old dude on the phone in the background, and he just had the phone, and he kept going, mineral rights, just like screaming mineral rights into the phone. And for some reason, that clicked some like repressed memory in my head of Mario in that bunny hat going, diddle-diddle-diddle-diddle. And I was like, why haven't they made Mario Land 2 for the Game Boy and doing this? I got the Born Supremacist or something. I got triggered. I was activated in that moment.
The Born Supremacist.
I'm a Manchurian candidate. One of these days, I'm going to whack a political candidate with my guitar.
That's
Doing.
oh shit. Well, let's see here. We got Alvin says again, gives them something to keep us busy while they roll out Fed Now. True. And Honey Pal says, what happened? And Alvin says, Fed Now gets rolled out in July. And Spill says, distraction after distraction. Yeah, that's true. Who knows? But I think you could both be onto something. Let's talk about the Overmountain men real quick. Now, we talked about them in episode 2, but if you weren't with us way back then, like most of our live viewers weren't, the Overmountain men, there is a play going on right now. I mentioned at the beginning of the show, every weekend in June, they will be putting together a pretty sweet dramatic reenactment called Liberty at Sycamore Shoals. It is on, Highway 67 there in Elizabethton. It's at Fort Watauga. You look up Sycamore Shoals State Historic Area, and they put that play on. I think they do it 2-3 times a day on the weekends. You go down there, it's pretty cheap to get in. I don't know.
Smell the black powder.
$5-10. Yeah, they shoot blanks out of black powder. They shoot black powdered rifles with blanks, and they're different days, different weeks. They have stuff down there. Like you can go down there and see how to flint knap, and you can go down and buy a piece of flint from the guy. He'll show you how to make you an arrowhead or whatever it is they're trying to make out of it. They got different crafts and stuff that you can learn, kind of old time trades. But they also do the reenactment of the story of the Battle of Kings Mountain and the muster at Sycamore Shoals. Now, we've talked about before how the folks in this area came to be around the 1770s. In long story short, the British government had a treaty with the Indians that nobody was going to settle south of Kingsport. They were supposed to stay in Virginia, basically. But a lot of people who came down through Virginia, they came along the mountains there through Pennington Gap. Some of them came across through North Carolina. They thought they were still in Virginia and North Carolina, and they were settling those areas. Well, it turned out, they were past the lines where the British government had said that they wouldn't settle. So during the whole thing where the colonists are starting to uprise, the British are saying to everybody over here, hey, you can't settle over there. And so the people who lived in this area, the Watauga settlement, actually leased their land from the Cherokee. They made their own deal with them and formed the first government west of the Appalachian Mountains, or the first American government, or, you know, Englishman government west of non-tribal, non-native, I guess you would say, government west of the Appalachians, called the Watauga Association. And they met in under a big oak tree down at the covered bridge, is where the stump is. I'm not sure exactly where the tree was, but I think, no, is just the stump down there, or is that where the tree was? I can't remember now.
There's a big stump there with like a...
Yeah, I just can't remember if it's in the ground or if it's sitting on top of the ground. I feel like it's sitting on top of the ground, but I don't know. But either way, it's down there. You can go check that out. But the founders of this town, they actually ran afoul of the British by doing that. And so one of the things that the British did is, you know, of course, when the rebellion started, they were trying to quell it any way they could. But one of the things they did was they riled up the Cherokee and the Creek and the Chickamauga and all the different Indians that were living down around this area. And they said, hey, these guys are going to fuck you over. They're going to take your land. They're not going to hold true to their deal. Yeah, you got to take them out. So we'll make a deal with you. If you will take them out, we'll trade you rifles. We'll, you know, give you gold. You know, you can trade your tobacco for stuff. But if you don't take them out, we're not going to do any business with you. And so Dragging Canoe was one of the younger braves there. He goes around basically as an agent of the British, but he's, you know, I think he's being an agent of his people in his own mind. And he tries to convince all the other Cherokee tribes to go ahead and, you know, join him and attack the settlers. Well, in the meantime, these people up here are refusing to move out of the place, right? They're saying, you know, they've been told by the Crown that they're in violation of the law. It's time for them to leave. But they refuse to, so Major Patrick Ferguson sends word that everyone up here is going to lay down their arms and surrender, or he will come up there and take all the women and take all the guns and burn down all the towns. Well, the Watauga Association gets together and they have a little muster and they decide, you know what? We're not going to tell him come and take it. We're going to take the fight to him. So they got together and they rounded up a muster of all the able-bodied men in the area, the Overmountain men, and they went down on a trail to Kings Mountain, South Carolina, where they surrounded the mountain where Major Ferguson was encamped and basically made short work of him. And this was a trained military force, British military force, but they were trained in open field warfare, the tactics of, you know, the Napoleonic Wars and the wars of Europe of the previous century. So they came and lined up in the fields, and you know, it's kind of like that movie The Patriot, where, you know, the colonists here used guerrilla warfare tactics against them, and they actually had a pretty resounding victory. While I think it was like very, very few. I think like one person got killed and like 14 got wounded. The Overmountain men, and they captured, with like 200 and some people, they captured like 600. I don't remember all the details, but it was like 3 or 4 times the amount of people in the British force. They also killed Major Ferguson, shot him off his horse, captured most of the rest of them, and this actually ended up causing General Cornwallis to reroute what he was doing and go to Charlotte instead of where he was planning to go, which ended up being him late to go back north, which was a big part of him losing at Yorktown, which was, you know, basically the turning tide of the Revolutionary War. So a lot of people will credit, you know, the Overmountain men with being the heroes of it, and I've even gone so far as to go to Narkin Nancy Ward, the member of the Cherokee Council, who actually tipped the people off, tipped the settlers off by releasing a prisoner to tell them that the Indians were all about to attack them. So anyway, it's a really fascinating story. I just tried to run through it as fast as I could without going, you know, taking the time to pull up figures or pictures and stuff. But if you're interested, you can figure it out and find it. The story of the Overmountain men, I've got a book back there I've read a couple of times, and like I said, I've been just kind of steeped in the story of it growing up. So it's kind of something that's been real familiar to me, and once you hear something so many times like that, it kind of loses a little bit of its meaning. So it was interesting to go back and read it all over again as an adult, and appreciate the significance that it had in the founding of the country. And I'd invite you to do the same and go check it out at Liberty there on weekends in June. And it's definitely a good time if you're interested in that. I think definitely you will appreciate that and enjoy that based on your videos that I've watched. I think you'd have a good time with it. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. If you haven't yet, please like the video, share it around with other people that you think might enjoy it. We'd love to have you be a part of the conversation. And Alvin, I was talking to him the other day, and he had a recommendation that we, and I think it's quite good, that we get together with some other local YouTubers. And
I don't know any local YouTubers.
Well,
but if I find them, I'll fight them.
I know two, and then he was giving me one. So we know Steph and Lee that I met the other day, and I think they'd be definitely cool to hang out with and do a YouTube video at some point or an interview of some sort. And then John Edwards of the
Crossing Over.
Well,
Socket.
he is in the what is it? Haunted South, and he does ghost investigations and stuff, and has a
Okay,
has a
cool.
good YouTube show.
Talk to some ghost
And he and his wife Stacy are cool people and make a good show. And I've not seen them in a while, so they may not be active, or YouTube may have done the thing where it stops giving me notifications of stuff I really want to watch, and gives me a bunch of crap that I don't care about. So if you don't have those notifications clicked, right around the area of Tim's groin, there should be a little bell.
I'll be right back.
Just give it a little tickle, and it'll let you know that we're going live whenever we do. It's every Sunday and Wednesday at 10. We're so thankful to have you with us, and we'd love to have you back. We'll be back Wednesday at night. Tim and I will do a Skype conversation where we get into local news and current events roundup, and maybe we'll try to do us a call-in show that night. We tried last night. Somebody came into the room there, but didn't quite work out. They left before I could get to them, so sorry about that. If you try to call in, we'll try to set it up again this time. I'll put the Skype link in the description. All you gotta do is click on it, and we'll send us a message through there, and then I'll actually bring you in. So I'm sorry, it should notify me that they're in the chat room. Should it not? Should it not say
I have no idea.
somebody entered the chat? If you and I are on there and I invite somebody and they click the link, it should
Skype literate or illiterate.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not good with OBS and all that stuff either, to be honest
But
with you.
next time, I'm going to keep it pulled up, so we'll notice if you join us, and we sure would love to have you join us. So it is 5 till 11, or 5 till 12. We had a good time talking about this tonight. Me and Tim had a lot of fun. Hope you did too. We will see you Wednesday night. Gabe, you got anything to take us out on?
What's going to happen when humans no longer have nipples?
Well, I mean, we don't need them anymore.
That's weird.
formula. Yeah, it's going to be the mannequin. You ever seen that movie?
Yes, I have seen that.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me catch these chats up because we got a lot of chats here. Funny Honey Pie says, "Boy, what happened?" She said she had to refresh the page. It showed your video as if it had suddenly ended. Stephen Lee says they planned to do a video there and tried a month ago, but they were closed the day we went. Oh, you're talking about Sycamore Shoals. Cool. Well, go next weekend, man. Y'all have a good time. Phil said Hirsch froze too, and Alvin said thunderstorms in the area. Yeah, he did hear some thunder boomers. I'm glad I got the yard mowed today. But good night, everybody. God bless. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night, Lee, Stephanie, Alvin, Honey Pie, Spill, Dalton, everybody that was in their chat. We appreciate y'all. Y'all are what makes it what it is and makes us have as good a time as we do. So we'll see you Wednesday.
And old Bonesy the skeleton back there. He's what it's really all about.
That's right. Brom Bones.